you're off to a bad start. It's going to be part of the equation for all athletes around here. Giancarlo Stanton had been hearing it for a couple of years. At least he's starting to come around now. Last year he had a good playoff run, kind of silenced some of that stuff. But when you make that kind of money, people are going to expect a performance that reflects what you're making. And I'm sorry, it's not just defense, it's going to be offense. But that's the life we all live if we play here. It happened to me, so I know exactly what it's like.
Yeah, when you were making $340 million for the Jets.
I wish I was, but, it happened to Carmelo.
Sure.
So it happens to everybody. So he'll just have to grow some thick skin, and he'll have to deal with it because he's going to be here for another 11 years.
Yeah.
So think about that. So last night's Knicks game. Every game we watch for the Knicks, somebody jumps out at you, and you say to yourself, wow, that's a really good game for that particular player. It is obvious that when Julius Randle is on and he's hitting his three-pointers, they normally win. That's a big part of the equation. And last night he had a great game. He played well again. He didn't play so well against Phoenix, but he played well, and he came back last night. But there's another player, and we've talked about this player, and I know Thibodeau has talked about this player, and a lot of people have written about this player. But last night, it was a defensive player that showed up, it seemed like, from the first quarter to the fourth quarter. And you knew that he was out there because of the way that he was playing defense. He was like ferocious on defense, and that's Nerlens Noel.
Guy was unbelievable, man. You're talking about blocks and steals and just in guys' faces, and he's all over the place, and he's capitalizing on that end of the floor and providing the energy. I mean, this is someone who was a big name, was a high draft choice. He was someone that didn't really work out everywhere that he was, and he has put it together in this situation where, the Knicks pick him up. You don't know what type of role he's going to play. Mitchell Robinson gets hurt. He steps in. He's great. Robinson comes back, gets hurt again.
Yep.
I mean, Nerlens Noel he's a starter. He's their center. He is someone that they can't live without right now.
He was an insurance policy.
And now he's turned out to be one of the most important players for the Knicks. And last night was just, to me, it was one of his best games just because he set the tone on that end of the floor. And they played just a great basketball game all the way through all four quarters.
And they played defense. And he was, like I said, ferocious. And defense never takes a night off. Defense is all about hustle. It's all about attitude. It's all about, going ball to the wall for four quarters or when you're on the court. And he has done that all year long. This is not something that is shocking to any of us. But I thought last night he was the guy that really kind of stood out. And the other guy that stood out again last night, he's been up and down, but that's going to be a rookie, and that's going to be just his way. And, I mean, there were a couple times quickly threw up the ball from like 5 feet from the three-point line. I'm like, man, this kid's got some balls.
Yeah, he's got range. He's got balls. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I know.
So he loves to play. I don't even think he knows what he's doing yet. There are times where you could see he knows when to take it to the hole, and he's aggressive, which you got to love, which is what you want from your point guard. But I don't know. It was just nice to see that they bounced back. And I love it, the fact that they held another team under 100 points. Mm-hmm. And, when you see the Bulls and the Knicks, I just think of the 90s and just how physical those games were, and the way that Pat Riley and Jeff Van Gundy had the Knicks playing against those Bulls teams. And I don't know. It's just it's not the same players, of course, but it was a really, really impressive win for the Knicks. So, again, like, you want to watch it.
Of course.
And really it comes down to one thing and one thing only, and that is effort. And they're putting the effort in. So it's a credit to those players and a credit to Tom Thibodeau that he's got them playing like this. And now they got to go on the road. And they got Houston and Memphis, and then they got the 4 really hard games, the top 4 teams, or the Lakers are probably 5th or 6th now in the West. But, if LeBron comes back,
sure,
that's a whole
They're
different
going to lower him from the top of the
probably.
arena, and he's going to come down.
So this 6-game road trip, and then they end up with 3 at home. Give me your best case scenario, realistically. And I know
best case scenario.
And I know we're taking it, the game itself, we're taking it one possession, 1 quarter, 1 half, 1 game. That's how I know. That's how we take the game itself. But as we look into our crystal ball a little bit here, and we see this road trip, what would you like to see?
I'd like to see 3-3, and I think that's realistic. I believe that in order to do that, they're really going to have to get these first 2. Now, I don't want to put any limitations on this group because they have broken through every set of expectations that anybody has put on them. But I think that if you grab the first two, Rockets, Memphis, and then after that try to steal one of the next four, and then I'm happy. Really, if you come back 500 on the road trip, meaning 3-3, and you don't lose any ground, you're still where you're at, and then you have those last three at home, I am thrilled in that situation. Absolutely thrilled. I'm not signing for 2 and 4 if you're giving me that type of thing.
No,
Do you sign for 2? I'm not signing for 2 and 4.
I mean, I'd like to see 3. I'd like to see 4 and 2, actually.
Of course, but I'd be happy with 3 and 3.
That means they can't have a letdown. I don't think Thibodeau is going to let them down, and their personality on the court itself doesn't lend itself to have a letdown. I mean, they played the Suns tough. I mean, let's face it. Chris Paul had 3 ridiculous shots at the end of that game that separated those two teams. And so the point being is that they very rarely have a letdown. And it was also nice to see, even though it wasn't a lot of time, but when you watch Obi Toppin.
Look like he was figuring out a little bit last night.
A
little more than normal.
I bet you that Thibodeau probably says to him, look, man, just run.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
Run and jump and don't think.
Just let it go and try not to think. Because I see a player that has incredible leaping ability. He's got incredibly long arms. And, those are two things that, if you have that on the basketball court, you should be a dominating player. And that's probably why he was player of the year in the NCAA at Dayton. But
because he was comfortable. He knew the system.
Right. And you know what I think about Nerlens Noel? I think if I put it into hockey parlance, he's like a checking center. Like he's the guy that's out there that's busting his ass on the other end of the ice, the other end of the court, and he's trying to help his teammates be better by protecting the rim. So he's like your checking center. He's your insurance policy. It was paid off in so many different ways. And, man, I got to tell you, it was great. It's great to see. And, meanwhile, you're watching the Knicks bust their ass, score 113 points, pull away from the Bulls in the fourth quarter, and the Mets can't get a goddamn hit.
Yeah, I mean, it is infuriating. I mean, what else can you say about the Jacob deGrom starts and the no offense? I mean, it just gets worse and worse and worse. Whether he goes out, I mean, he has one inning, questionable. I'm not even going to say bad inning. One non-dominant inning.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead. Do you think he wants out of here? Is that the question?
No. He doesn't want out of here. He's a pro. Ed Arzuman, who we love, Big Zoo. He and I went a little bit back and forth on Twitter about
you and Big Zoo were tweeting one another last night?
No. About 3 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
And, Big Zoo was like, Jacob deGrom's going to want out of here. Jacob deGrom should get out of here. Jacob deGrom deserves better. Something along those lines. Hey, Zoo, he's not going to say anything. He's a professional. If anything, he's basically going to say, hey, I should have kept the run off the board. But it would help if you had a real left fielder. I'm not saying that.
Listen. It's all about the offense, though, man. Come on.
But I understand it is 99% of it is the offense. But last night we saw a first baseman in left field.
Yeah, we see that a lot.
But if it comes down to an error or it comes down to a misplay, I mean, that's it. That is the highlight of it. So you would like to think that the offense could pick up both Dom Smith and help out Jacob deGrom. But this offense stinks right now.
Yeah.
And they cannot, I mean, I don't know what it is. Keith does a good job last night. He was showing Francisco Lindor and how he's like lunging for pitches. And
he called his ass something weird.
Fanny.
No, he said Fanny, but he also called it like a hohunkus.
Oh, hunkus or something.
Yeah, he called it a hohunkus.
Right.
He's like, his hohunkus is flying out. And then Gary said, his what? like Gary was sort of like, all right, enough, Keith. Make a little more sense.
Keith had a bunch of good ones last night.
Yeah, he always does. But no, this was another one of those. DeGrom gives up the run. We shouldn't even be focusing on that. But he's got Christian Vasquez up there who hasn't had a hit in God knows. He was 0 for his last 14. It's an 0-2 count. He gives him a 100-mile-an-hour fastball up and out of the zone, and somehow he rockets it into the gap the other way. And that was the entire game. That was your run. There was your RBI. And it's just one guy after another in the Mets lineup, just weak, no contact, striking out. There's just no intimidation factor. And that's exactly the opposite of what we were expecting from this lineup. We may get it at some point, but right now it's impossible to watch.
Do you realize that the Mets have struck out 28 times in 2 games against the Red Sox? 28 times.
Red Sox scored 3 runs and won both games.
28 freaking strikeouts.
Pathetic. Just pathetic. I mean,
did they it's like, I know the Islanders and the Rangers are playing tonight. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about the Islanders' lack of scoring because every time I do, then it comes back and haunts me.
7-0, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. So I'm not going to say anything about that. But do you think that the Mets actually take batting practice?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's one of these things where you have to appease the fan base by firing Chili Davis or something. I mean, I don't know.
I'm not going to get all of it.
But Chili. I mean, what in the hell? I mean, it can't be this bad.
Did they hit off the tee or
the tee.
What are they doing?
I don't know. I know that Pete Alonso was out there. They were saying he was doing like his check swings. He does this thing where he gets, in batting practice, he does his check swing.
Hey, you know what?
Thing.
How about this? How about we LFGM? Let's go.
Yeah, let's
what are we doing,
Mets.
players? Let's go. LFGM.
I mean, Jacob deGrom, I don't know. He is a pro. He's a pro. I get it. He's the best. But I would just be frustrated.
Stop saying that.
What?
I know you get it.
Oh,
we all
sorry.
get it.
All right, but if you're going to do this, then I'm going to call out every one of your crutch things. You probably don't want that.
I don't care.
Okay. All right.
Maybe you make me better.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
all right.
I would like to think that your partner makes you better.
No, I understand.
Like we were talking about past partners who would just like kill you.
Yeah.
But you need to work together and try to make each other better.
Okay.
That's the way I look at it.
No, I know.
I get it.
Okay. See, that bothers you. But there's many crutch words on the other end.
I know there is.
All right, so you want me to call them out every time on the air?
If you want to, and
I don't want to, but I don't want you to do this every time either.
No, but remember we were talking about it yesterday.
Yeah, I know.
That's the only reason I said that.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh.
All right. So anyway, nobody cares. So, but DeGrom, he's got to be frustrated. He's got to be annoyed. He's going to get a new contract. He's got that opt-out thing after 2022. They're going to pay him. He'll probably stay here. But I do think every time that this happens, he has to be thinking, this is my career. I'm one of the best pitchers that anybody's ever seen. And my career is wasted. And the fact that he's pitched, 5 games this year? And they've won 2 of them, and they've lost 3 of them.
And he's got a 0.55 ERA.
His ERA goes up last night from 0.3 to 0.5 because he gives up 1 run.
Yeah. He's a pro's pro, man. He ain't going anywhere. I know we all want to put words in his mouth. We all want to kind of speculate.
Because we're frustrated for him.
I know that. We all want to kind of speculate what we think he's thinking, what he's going to say, and he's not going to do any of it. Here's what he's going to do. He's going to wake up today. He's going to go about his business. He's going to be a pro. Somebody will ask him, are you frustrated? You go, yeah, I'm frustrated that I gave up a run yesterday. That's what he's going to say. He's not going to say anything about his teammates. He's going to pull for his teammates, and he knows that somewhere along the line he's going to have a 5 or 6 game run blow up somewhere along the line, and hopefully they win that game 8-6, and his teammates pick him up.
Yeah,
that's
baseball.
But that's his mindset. I mean, out of all the guys, I would say, I'm trying to think of all the teams right now that are playing. Okay, and you think of the professional way that they are carrying themselves for their respective teams. He's got to be one of the top 3 guys in all of professional sports in New York right now.
Easy.
I would say Julius Randle would be in there.
Julius Randle's had a couple issues, though, this year. Remember, he was about to fight a couple of refs. Now, I liked it.
That's okay.
I liked it.
Who cares?
I know, and I liked it, and it was the edge and something that the Knicks needed and that passion, but you don't see Jacob deGrom trying to fight umpires. But, yeah, Julius Randle for sure. I mean, he's up there.
I'm talking about guys who are playing their respective sport.
Garrett Cole.
And their pitch and their position.
Yeah.
And the way that they carry themselves and the things that they say once the game is over, win, lose, or whatever. I mean, you think about it, this guy is right there.
Of course.
And he doesn't say a word and just goes about his business. So all this speculation about what we think he should be feeling or what he should be saying.
He has to, though, Boomer. You know that.
No,
he has to at least have some sort of, I can't believe this is happening again. You have to. I'm sorry. It's human nature.
I would like to tell you that in that sport, you have to compartmentalize. You have to worry about what you do. That's all you can do is just worry about how you do your job, and then hopefully everybody else will do their job. That's the old Bill Belichick. Do your job. Same thing around here. It's like you got to do your job.
Do your job.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.